to and included the sesquicentennial celebration of that war. He has, in his research, had, as he describes it, innumerable encounters with Roe ancestors who populate the historical record of this area like no other family. John contributes to a blog that the Park Service oversees, and it is called Mysteries and Conundrums. Some of you may be familiar with that. That blog tells stories of the historic landscape of this area. I hope that today's talk is neither a mystery nor a conundrum, but please join me in welcoming John Hennessy.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is an honor to be here. I have to warn you, if you go check the blog Mysteries and Conundrums, I think the only direct or blog post that's solely focused on the Roes is one entitled A.P. Roe's Outhouse. Because there is actually an image of A.P. Roe's outhouse behind his house down on the Rappahannock River. When Jeanette asked me to do this, I was excited because I know the Roe family historically. You can't live in Fredericksburg and work in Fredericksburg's history and not know that. But I was also excited, in this age when families don't function very well, it's a pretty remarkable thing to see so many members of one family in one place together like this. It's tremendous. So I'd like to share with you some of the collisions I've had over the years with the Roe family name. But let me talk a little bit generally. The first reference to a Roe in a Fredericksburg newspaper came in 1793. But in September 13th, 1823, the issue of the Virginia Herald included a notice that George Roe had lost his pocketbook in town and was looking for it. If you come across it, I'm sure he'd be grateful. And in the next 100 years, not counting after 1920s or so, but in the next 100 years, the local newspapers have more than 1,500 references to members of the Roe family. Now, some people there's always this argument about the greatest, most important family in Fredericksburg's history. Well, and I would argue that it's the Roe family. There's not a family that has had a deeper, longer connection to this community than any other. Some would argue that the Gulrich family, which might be more famous in some ways because they have a big sign out on Caroline Street, of course. But if you're looking for objective evidence, you all show up about 1,500 times in the local newspapers prior to 1930. The Gulrichs only show up about 800. But those newspapers track a fabulous relationship or even dependence of this town on this family. And also at the same time, really the ebb and flow of the family itself. There are notices, of course, of the family's service on town council, city council as mayors, 3 of them. There are published examples of Roe family poetry in local newspapers. I'll spare you. Innumerable notes of the family buying various places in town, including Allen Springs at one time. The prizes they won at the agricultural fair. Deaths, of course. A bankruptcy or two. Political activities. And innumerable notations of the appearance of local Roe children on honor rolls at their various schools. I counted in 105 years of newspapers from 1823 until 1928, there were 77 Roe family weddings recorded in the newspaper. In 1857, Absalom Roe, who grew up in this house, won prizes at the Fredericksburg Fair for his oxen and his pigs. In January 1859, Robert Semple Roe apprehended a thief in town. In the 1880s, no fewer than 4 Roes joined the Sons of Sobriety. Is that an anomaly in the family's history?